Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden K, for episode 40. Man, 40 episodes, already done 40. Crazy. But we're going to start off with the Diamondbacks. We're going to talk about a little while ago when they took 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee. Since we couldn't cover it last week, we'll talk about it here. For today, we'll talk about the Diamondbacks also sweeping the Miami Marlins in South Beach. And we'll talk a little bit about the series opener that they had against the Cubs today, where they lost 13-11, a crazy offensive game, and somewhat of a pitching duel in that game as well. So definitely a tough loss. We'll talk about that today. We'll talk about Torey Lovullo and his decision-making as well. Of course, we'll move on to the Cardinals. They re-signed wide receiver Greg George today, so get to keep our slot receiver. We'll talk about that a lot. I'm also going to be giving you guys my Cardinals 2025 NFL mock draft as we get closer to the NFL draft. We're less than a week away. We'll talk about the Suns as well. Their season officially ended, and they fired Mike Budenholzer. So we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll give some coaching options that the Suns could go after. And then we'll talk about Matt Ishbia and the Stephen A. Smith drama. Stephen A. Smith calling Matt Ishbia one of the worst owners in sports history. We'll talk about that. And then we'll end it with ASU baseball and softball and U of A baseball and softball. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, after we hear a quick word from our sponsors, we'll get right into the Diamondbacks, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a minute. You're listening to the AZ Sports Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Once again, a big shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Make sure to order on the website, planetjerky.net, and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Vital Apparel, make sure to use the IESR code to get 15% off of all merchandise. Take advantage of every discount while you can. Save yourself some money. Of course, Seal the Deal Wax Seals you can order on the website. And of course, shout out to IE Sports Radio. Man, 40 episodes already. It feels like yesterday I was just doing my first one with, Larry teaching me the ropes on how to do all of this. And we're already 40 weeks in. Just crazy. It feels like the other day, I feel like the older I get, the more time goes by fast. But and of course, our sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Another promo code, you use IESR for 10% off. So go to getrawnutrition.com to take a look and use the promo code to save yourself some money. Again, make sure to follow me on both of the X accounts that I'm on at AZ Sports Zone IE, where I retweet a bunch of Arizona sports news, give updates on the team, give my input on what's going on, and of course my personal X account at the AZTRL, where I'm not as active on that account, but once in a while I'll go on there and do my trash talk and my updates on teams and this and that. And if you guys like the AZ Sports Zone, become a supporter. It's on Spreaker. It's $5 a month. I appreciate your guys' support just by being here and listening to me talk about my teams. But another way of supporting, if you like the AZ Sports Zone, I would really appreciate it. It would mean a lot. And before we get into the first segment, I see Spongy was here. What's up, Spongy? And of course, Larry in the chat. How you doing, Larry? All right, but with that being said, let's get into it. So, lately I've been starting off with the Diamondbacks. That's just the team that's pretty much the only team other than ASU football I feel like I have right now. So we're just gonna get a lot of the good out of the way. And so I know last week the Diamondbacks, when I went live, the Diamondbacks were playing Milwaukee at home, and it was only the first game of that series. So I didn't have a chance to really talk about the other two games. But the Diamondbacks did end up winning the last 2 games of this series. They took 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, which was very important, obviously for tiebreaker situations. Kind of like similar to what I said with the Cubs series that is going on today, and we'll talk about the first game here in a second. But excuse me, like losing my voice right now. But they did end up taking 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, which is very important in case they need the tiebreaker scenario, especially in the NL. A lot of teams in the National League this year are just playing at a high level right now, and 4 of them are the NL West teams. Even when the Diamondbacks are a good team, fourth place in their division, they're games above 500, but the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants are just having such a good season right now. And then you got the Rockies in fifth. Um, so it feels like the Diamondbacks, no matter how good they do, those other 3 teams in the division just keep on winning. So they were on a 5-game win streak until today when they lost to the Cubs today in the series opener. But as far as this Milwaukee series goes, we saw Corbin Burns in the second game. He didn't have the worst game. He didn't necessarily have the best game either. He went 6 innings. He gave up 3 runs, and 2 of them were in the beginning of the game, gave up 1 run in the 6th, and when he came out of the game, it was a 3-0 ball game. So that's one thing that I do tend to show a little sympathy towards the starting pitching is when there's certain pitchers on the Diamondbacks who pitch. It sometimes the offense, obviously the offense is going to have their struggles, but this Diamondbacks team currently has 4 batters who are batting below 200 right now. And it just feels like sometimes when our best pitchers are having a good game, the offense is not showing up. And that's kind of what this game was, at least for the first 8 innings of this game. Ryan Nelson pitched the final 3 innings, and the Diamondbacks ended up playing answer backs in this game, and they scored 5 runs in the 9th inning to walk off Milwaukee. And Gurriel was the one who walked off Milwaukee on a sacrifice fly. So, Corbin Carroll he drove in 2 runs in the 9th. Perdomo had one as well. Like everybody at the top of our lineup, even without Marte right now, are playing absolutely amazing right now. Perdomo leads all shortstops in the OPS department right now. So worth every penny of the extension that the D-backs gave him so far. And he's definitely shown why he is the star shortstop for the Diamondbacks. And that's how they ended up taking the second game against Milwaukee. And in the third game, Zach Gallen pitched in this game. He also went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs, and 2 of those runs were in the first inning. So he went 5 scoreless innings after the first inning. And the Diamondbacks ended up playing answer backs again. They scored a total of 5 runs in the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th inning. And it was good enough to take 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, which was a very important series. And I know we're only in April right now. So obviously it doesn't really seem like it matters right now, but when you're in such a competitive NL conference, uh, games like this, like early in the season, are going to matter when you're taking on NL teams, especially because Milwaukee, I think the Cubs are going to win that division. So with Milwaukee competing for a wild card spot, this and that, it's definitely going to be positive for us taking 2 out of 3 against this team and currently having the tiebreaker. Obviously, the Diamondbacks head over to Milwaukee later in the year for, I believe, a 4-game series, so that will be very important as well. But for now, it was really good that they took 2 out of 3 and very important to get that start ahead tiebreaker on Milwaukee. And after the Milwaukee series, they headed over to South Beach to take on the Miami Marlins, and they swept the Marlins. Took all 3 games. And in the first game, just a beautiful offensive performance. They scored 10 runs. They won 10-4. Corbin Carroll had a grand slam. Perdomo drove in a few runs himself. Josh Naylor had a home run as well. Everybody that batted on the Diamondbacks for this game, they all at least had a base hit. And Merrill Kelly, he pitched 6 innings, only gave up 1 run, and then the bullpen did their part to really seal the deal. Overall, a very good game. And then in the second game, we saw basically the same thing. As far as pitching goes, Brandon Pfaadt almost went 6 innings, but Torrey took him out before the end of the 6th, and he only gave up 1 run as well. We saw A.J. Puck, Shelby Miller, and Justin Martinez and Jalen Beeks close the game out for the bullpen, and they won 6-2. And then in the final game, uh, they won 6-4, and Eduardo Rodriguez pitched in this game. He gave up a lot of hits. He gave up 10 hits, and he did not give up a walk, though. He had 9 strikeouts, and he went 5 innings and a third of 6, only gave up 1 run. And Eduardo Rodriguez, his ERA so far this season, uh, it doesn't look the best, but not the worst either. Definitely way better than what we saw literally last season when he was injured for a majority of the year, and we didn't really see him until halfway through the year. Eduardo Rodriguez has been doing his part so far, and he's one of those pitchers where I feel like um, whenever he pitches well, the offense doesn't show up. It was literally the opposite in this final game against Miami, and it's and it did take him until the other day to get his first win as well. So, like I said, uh, the offense isn't always going to be on their best, but at the end of the day, this was a very good series to go to Miami and take the sweep like they were supposed to take the sweep and get the job done. And today, they headed over to the good old Wrigley Field to take on the Chicago Cubs for the second and final time this season. We've already played the Cubs literally. We've already played the Cubs in Arizona and at Wrigley this season, and we're only in April. So we're already getting the games against the Cubs out of the way, and this is why I keep bringing up the importance of winning games like this, which the Diamondbacks did not win today's game, even when it looked like they were going to win today's game. And don't let the scoreboard fool you. A majority of this game was literally a pitching duel. Believe it or not, majority of this game was nothing but pitching. It was a 2-1 ball game up until the bottom of the 7th. That is when all of the runs started coming in. Was at the bottom of the 7th. It was a 2-1 ball game. We saw Corbin Burns pitch in today's game. He only gave up 2 runs, went 6 innings, which is something I never and still don't understand about the Diamondbacks starting pitchers this season. It just seems like they always tend to give up runs early in the game, and they have to play answer back every game. When for the rest of the game, they'll literally pitch like a star pitcher. But it just seems like at the beginning of the game, they just forget how to pitch a baseball in the majors. It's such a weird statistic, but sure the Diamondbacks are up there for the most runs given up in the first inning or second inning to start off the season. I'm sure that they're up there, but regardless of that, yeah, in the bottom of the 7th inning, the Cubs scored 5 runs. They went up 7-1. Ian Happ had a grand slam off of Ryan Nelson, which is another thing too. I still don't think Ryan Nelson is a bullpen pitcher. I think he is worthy of being a starter, but the problem is the Diamondbacks have so many caliber starters. It's hard to do a 6-man rotation in baseball. And also putting Ryan Nelson in the bullpen does give the Diamondbacks a good long stretch of a reliever in Ryan Nelson, but the point is Ryan Nelson is not a bullpen pitcher. He is worthy of being a starter, but obviously Torey came out and said he's not going to do the 6-man rotation, which at the end of the day, understandable when you have so many guys that you could use in the bullpen, especially when Ryan Nelson could give you 3-4 solid innings in the bullpen. Well, today he gave up the grand slam. They went down 7-1. And then when we all thought the game was over and dead, here comes the top of the 8th. I don't know what it is with the Diamondbacks and 8th inning magic this season, but they scored 10 runs in the 8th inning. 10. Gino had a grand slam. I'm pretty sure it was Grichuk who drove in a couple runs that gave the Diamondbacks the lead. And then Gurriel had a 3-run homer to give the Diamondbacks a 11-7 lead at the going into the bottom of the 8th inning. And when it seems like the Diamondbacks are going to close this game out, when it seems like Torey Lovullo is going to throw AJ Puck or Ryan Thompson or Justin Martinez or Shelby Miller in the game to close it, what does Torey Lovullo do? Brings me to my next picker here. What does Torey Lovullo decide to do? He decides to throw Bryce Jarvis and Joe Mantiply into a closing situation. Bryce Jarvis, a guy who we only see pitch when the game is a blowout and the Diamondbacks have pretty much already guaranteed a win. And Joe Mantiply, a guy who before pitching in today's game had a 13.50 ERA. Those are the two pitchers that Torey Lovullo threw at a batting lineup that consists of Kyle Tucker, Dansby Swanson, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, Michael Busch. Torey Lovullo really threw our two worst relievers up against one of the best batting lineups in baseball. Yeah, it definitely definitely a questionable decision, and I still don't understand the whole process behind it, despite the fact that Martinez did pitch in back-to-back games. We saw AJ Puck the other day as well. So maybe I can get it. But you have Jalen Beeks, a guy who only pitched one out the other day, going up against left-handed batters, Kyle Tucker being one of them, which, by the way, Kyle Tucker was the one who gave the Cubs the lead in the bottom of the eighth. You could have thrown Jalen Beeks out there. You could have thrown Shelby Miller out there, a guy who did not pitch the other day. Shelby Miller has not given up a run this season. Justin Martinez has not given up a run this season. AJ Puck, while yes, he's given up a few runs here and there, he's looked a little bit shaky this season to start off the year. At least he has closed games when he needed to. Those are three guys that I named, or matter of fact, four guys that I named off the top of my head. And Torey threw our two worst relievers out there. This is a situation where the Diamondbacks need to at least get 2 out of 3 wins against the Cubs to get the tiebreaker over the Cubs. And Torey literally threw this game away when the Diamondbacks had every opportunity to close it. When they really should have won this game. Any team that scores 10 runs in one inning, they should win the game. They had a 4-run lead going into the bottom of the eighth, and Mantiply literally, I think he gave up, what was it, like 4 or 5 runs before he finally got the double play that ended the inning. Joe Mantiply stinks this season. Honestly, I can't wait till Kevin Ginkel comes back. And when he does come back, I expect Mantiply to get DFA'd. But then again, I've been wrong about the D-backs before. I've been wrong about what I think Mike Hazen is going to do before. And it's just Torey Lovullo and listen, Torey Lovullo, he's going to be the Diamondbacks manager, whether people like it or not, whether people are going to defend him or be against him. He got us to a World Series. He got an extension. It is what it is. He's going to be our manager for the long term. But you would think that a guy who has had success with this team would at least know the situation that he is in. And it just seems like Torey Lovullo continues to find ways to ruin the D-backs' chances of having a bunch of success in the regular season. Remember, this team missed the playoffs by 1 game last season, by a tiebreaker. And last season, there were a lot of games where Diamondbacks fans were like, oh, yeah, if Torey had done this right or if Torey had done that right, we would have won that game. I can name at least 10 games from last season that the Diamondbacks should have won, but Torey Lovullo literally made a stupid decision that pretty much ruined the game. And to think, if Torey had not made one of those mistakes, literally one of those mistakes, the D-backs would have been a playoff team last season. And that's just something that Torey Lovullo continues to do in one of the worst ways imaginable. And this is just another example of it. I understand Joe Mantiply and Kyle Tucker, it's the lefty-on-lefty matchup, but a 13 ERA is not a joke. You can't throw your worst reliever, a guy who literally has given up the most runs in the bullpen, into a situation where the Cubs, they scored 7 runs already in that game to begin with. So their bats were on fire for that game. And personally, I just think that this loss is on Torrey. I don't blame the pitchers. And like, as much as I was mad at Corbin Burns right after he gave up the 2-run homer, um, Burns had a good game to end it, to end his game. Ryan Nelson, he did give up the grand slam, but I don't think I've ever seen a team score 10 runs in one inning and still manage to lose the game. I don't think I've ever seen that. And if I have, it's literally a blur in my memory at this point. But yeah, just a terrible way to lose a game like this, a team that you're competing for a tiebreaker against, and just a terrible way to lose what might honestly be game of the year already. I think this, at least so far, I know we're only in April. So far, I think this has been game of the year. This has been game of the year so far. This was a really good game. And what I really liked about this game was the fact that it was a pitching duel until late in the game. That's when the runs started scoring. That's when the bullpen started giving up runs. This was a really good game. And unfortunately, it was whoever made the first mistake, and that was Torey Lovello. So, regardless of that, we still got 2 more games against the Cubs. They have to win both of them now. I do think that the Cubs are going to win their division, so I really don't think a tiebreaker with this team matters. But then again, it is baseball. While the Cubs are a good team right now, we don't know if they're going to have like a fall off come July or August and become a wild card team that's competing with us. We don't know that yet. So while we've already played this team twice in April, we're not going to see this team for the rest of the season after Sunday. So at the end of the day, they need this tiebreaker, and they're really going to have to show up these next 2 games. Now, taking a look at these next 2 games, we have Zach Gallen pitching in tomorrow's game, and all of these games are early, by the way. They're all 11:20 games, and 2 important games. We got Zach Gallen, and the Cubs have Ben Brown pitching, a guy who has an ERA over 5. And for the third game, we got Merrill Kelly pitching for us. They have Jamison Talon for the Cubs as well, who also has an ERA above 5. So on the bright side for these last 2 games, at least the Diamondbacks will not be facing Shota Imanaga. If they were facing Imanaga in either one of these games, I would probably be like, okay, yeah, the Cubs, they're going to win this series. They're going to take the tiebreaker over us. I mean, Imanaga is just a tough pitcher to deal with. One of the toughest. So the Cubs are throwing out 2 pitchers for the final 2 games who have an ERA over 5. Zach Gallen coming off of a solid bounce back game after his struggles against Baltimore. And then Merrill Kelly, a guy who had a really good game. I know it's Miami, but he had a really good game against Miami. Only gave up 1 run. So both of them are coming into this series coming off of good games. So we'll see if they can build off of it. And looking at the Diamondbacks after this Cubs series, it's definitely a little bit of it doesn't really start off as a tough stretch, but looking at the Diamondbacks, they're taking on the Tampa Bay Rays in Arizona for a 3-game series, and then they stay at home against the Atlanta Braves, who, shockingly, I'm surprised the Braves are a struggling team right now. They play them for a 3-game series in Arizona, and then at the beginning of May, that is when it gets really, really tough. You guys ready for it? They take on the Mets in Queens for a 3-game series, and then they take on the Phillies in Philly, and then they play the Mets again back in Arizona, and then they got the Dodgers for a 4-game series at home, and then they have the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco. So when May comes by, the schedule, this will be a really big test for the Diamondbacks coming up. But so far, listen, as much criticism as I gave Torey Lovello just now, as much criticism as I gave the team for losing this game, I do think that the Diamondbacks are playing really good baseball right now. Like I said, they were on a 5-game win streak before today. So it's not like they're playing bad baseball. We had guys today who hit home runs, guys who are struggling drastically. So maybe guys like Gurriel and Gino can continue to build off of the home runs that they hit today and carry it on into the the next game and the following series and so on. But overall, I do really like what the Diamondbacks are doing right now. They're 12-8 at this point, not the best, but not the worst. They started 7-7, so they are playing good baseball right now. But this upcoming schedule, starting May, which is a couple weeks away, it's really going to determine what kind of team that they are, and it's going to be a really good test for them. So I'm excited to see what they do against these playoff contenders. But we're going to go into a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals re-signing wide receiver Greg Dortch, and I got you guys with my first and only Cardinals 2025 NFL mock draft. So don't go anywhere. We'll talk about that. You're listening to the AZ Sports Zone here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
Cleveland and Columbus sports fans, I've got the show for you. I'm Jen B, host of the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You want football? I've got the Browns, the Buckeyes, the Eagles, the Purple Raiders, and more for you. You want basketball? I've got the Cavs and the Charge for you. You want hockey? I've got the Blue Jackets and the Monsters for you. You want football, aka soccer? I've got the Crew and the Crunch for you. You want volleyball? I'm going to unleash the fury for you. You want more Cleveland and Columbus sports? I've got them all for you, from the majors to the minors to the college rinks. Catch me, Jen B, every week on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
And welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Just covered up the Arizona Diamondbacks segment, and just a really tough loss that they took today. We'll see if they can bounce back tomorrow with Zach Gallen on the mound. Talk about more Diamondbacks next week. And now let's get into the Bird Gang. Let's talk some Cardinals football for a little bit. Before we get to the whole meat and potatoes of my Cardinals segment, the Cardinals made a very good move, a very good re-sign. They re-signed wide receiver Greg Dortch to a one-year deal, so he will be back for the 25-26 season, and we get our slot receiver back. So this was a very good signing. Obviously, a guy who knows the Cardinals system very well and a guy who really stepped up on certain occasions as well. And basically, there were games where Greg Dortch was our leading receiver in yards too, because some other guys just did not show up for that game. Like, yeah, unfortunately, Marvin Harrison Jr., for example. So, really glad that this re-sign happened, and we'll see what he can bring to the Cardinals in uh, 2025, 2026 for the next NFL season. But yeah, overall, really good move. A guy who has been on the team for a while now and knows Jonathan Gannon's system. So uh, very good bringing him back. So we'll see what he has in store for next season. Glad that that got done. So quickly talk about that a little bit. And now, time to get into the whole, like I said, meat and potatoes of the Cardinals. So obviously the NFL draft is literally right around the corner, 6 days away to be exact, and the Cardinals will be picking 16th in this draft. And the NFL draft is one of my favorite times of the year, and the Cardinals are normally one of the teams that get involved in it. And I'm definitely not used to them, at least in this scenario, picking literally in the middle of the pack for the first round. They will be picking at 16th this year, so we will see who they get. But I want to quickly give you guys my Arizona Cardinals mock draft, and this is the only mock draft that you guys will really hear from me. Uh, I know normally when you do mock drafts, a lot of people just do one here and there, do another one and another one if their mind changes, this and that. But this is going to be the only one I really throw out there, and let's get right on into it. So obviously picking at 16, I do hope that the Cardinals, despite addressing the defense a lot in the offseason, bringing in Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell back, uh, and they're going to get BJ Ojolari back as well. So while people don't really take our pass rush on paper seriously. That's why I do think that the Cardinals will go defense at number 16. This is a guy who is coming off of a very good year at the University of Georgia. And I have the Cardinals at number 16 taking Jalen Walker. I have them taking the edge out of Georgia at number 16. Obviously, by the way, these picks that I'm making or the mock draft I'm doing, uh, this is assuming that they fall to the pick. So I didn't do a mock draft on every single team or whatever, including the Cardinals in the mock draft. This is just solely the Arizona Cardinals, who I think they will pick if they're available. So there's a chance Jalen Walker is not available at 16. But I do see him falling to 16. He's a guy who had 6.5 sacks last year at Georgia, a total of 61 tackles, a guy who can stop the run, a guy who is capable of getting to the quarterback and getting sacks. So obviously with the the pass rushers that they already have, they're honestly, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of the Cardinals going offense at 16 just because they have addressed defense quite a lot in free agency. But obviously with and Baron Browning, who I also forgot to mention, they extended as well. So getting BJ Ojolari back as well from his ACL tear, like there is a chance that the Cardinals may not address defense or pass rush, if anything, at 16. But I think that with the defensive line probably being the weakest link of the team last season, unless somehow Will Johnson falls to 16, which we all know is not going to happen because Will Johnson is on a lot of NFL teams' radar. But with that being said, I think Jalen Walker at 16 would seem like the right selection. And I have the Cardinals drafting another pass rusher to the desert. And at pick 47, so after 16, they're not picking for another 31 picks. So at 47, I have the Cardinals taking Maxwell Hairston, the defensive back from Kentucky, uh, a second round talent, a guy who I think is capable of the man-to-man coverage. And the Cardinals secondary, with Sean Murphy Bunting having a terrible year, uh, being injured for a little bit as well, I think that they're going to address the secondary a little bit in the second round. And I think Maxwell Hairston is the guy who we may not expect the Cardinals to get, but we'll see. But yeah, just overall the secondary needs to be addressed. I feel like I say this every single year. Like every single year, the secondary or the defense in general is just, it always has a weak spot. Like there's just that one time where the Cardinals defense gives up so many passing yards and rushing yards, which I talked about at pick 16. But I think that Hairston will be drafted by the Cardinals at pick 47, but we'll see. Not for nothing. I think that they'll address defense in the first 2, maybe 3 rounds. I don't have them going defense in the 3rd round, but at least for the first 2 rounds, I think that they will address the defense a little bit, especially the pass rush and the secondary a little bit, which is something that the Cardinals really struggled at last season. But we'll see how it is. And for their next pick, I have hold up. Okay, so I have them taking Trey Harris, the wide receiver from Ole Miss. It might be shocking to hear, oh yeah, they're going to draft a wide receiver, especially when they have receivers that are proving their worth. We know Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a 2nd-year bounce back, or at least hopefully. Trey McBride coming off of a really good season. Greg Dortch, who they just re-signed, Michael Wilson as well. But I think that they could use another weapon. And Trey Harris from Ole Miss, I think that he's a guy that they can really use. And wouldn't be shocked if they didn't go wide receiver at all in this draft. But yeah, we'll see how it is, I guess. I do think that they should go wide receiver in round 3, but we'll see how it is. And then at pick 115, I have them taking another defensive lineman, Deion Walker from Kentucky. So a couple Kentucky players I have them taking in this draft, and just another guy who I think can stop the run defense as well. And then at pick 152, I have them taking interior offensive lineman, interior linebacker, Seth McLaughlin out of Ohio State. So mainly just beefing up the offense and somewhat the defense here in this draft is where I have the Cardinals going, and briefly the offense as well. And then for their final pick, I have them taking I'm going to butcher this last name, but Kyle Monangai, I think I said it somewhat right, the running back from Rutgers. I did want to put Cam Scatabo, but I just don't think the Cardinals are going to get Cam Scatabo. I feel like he's one of those guys that are going to that the Cardinals fans want, but Monty Ossenford is going to be that guy where he's just not going to do it. But hopefully, I still, as an ASU fan, fingers crossed, I do hope they somewhat get Scatabo. But yeah, that's my overall mock draft. Really, it's all about pick number 16 for me, and I think Jalen Walker is the guy from Georgia that can really beef up this defense a little bit, especially on the pass rush and making tackles in the backfield and such if needed. But that is my mock draft. What are your guys' thoughts on it? Make sure to maybe get your thoughts on who you think the Cardinals will get, but we'll see. We're going to go into our second and final break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns. Their season officially ended. Mike Budenholzer gets fired, and Matt Ishbia made some comments, and Stephen A has a little drama with him. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll talk about that here on the Easy Sports Zone, here on Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need. So we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
How we doing, sports fans? This is Christian Harvey, your host of Gritsville, USA, your go-to show for all things Detroit and Michigan here on IE Sports Radio. Whether you're here for Gritty Lions talk, getting pumped up for the great Detroit sports renaissance, or hating on your neighbor depending on if they were green or blue, we got you covered. Whether you're in the East, West, or Central, we got you covered. Join me as we tackle through all that the great state of Michigan has to offer in the world of sports. Catch me, Christian Harvey, each week on Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We just covered the Cardinals, and I gave my mock draft on who I think they will get. If you guys want to leave your mock draft for the Cardinals, feel free. Let's get into every time I want to talk about this team. Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns a little bit, and we're going to close off the episode with the Phoenix Suns and some ASU baseball and U of A baseball as well as we get closer to the end of the tournaments. But the Suns season has officially ended. Well, it ended a long time ago before the season even started, but it officially did come to an end. They finished 36 and 46, 11th in the West, and Mike Budenholzer has been fired. Get the hell out of Phoenix. We will not miss you whatsoever. Obviously this was a move that needed to be done because Mike Budenholzer lost the locker room, and Kevin Durant gets another coach fired, I guess, whatever people want to call it. And it sucks. At the end of the day, just such a disappointing season, a season that it's just it just sucks. Like, this season was terrible. One of the most forgettable seasons you can ever watch as a Phoenix Suns fan, at least for me. Now it's time to focus on the offseason and what is going to change. Obviously, they're going to have another new coach. Devin Booker is going to have his 8th head coach in 10 years. Yeah, Monty Ossenfort was the longest tenured coach under Devin Booker's career at 3 seasons. He's never had a coach longer than that in the NBA. So changes need to be made. Matt Ishbia better be on his A game this offseason. There's not much more to say other than it was just a terrible, horrendous season, and some big changes need to be made, not just with the head coach, but with the CEO and the general manager as well. Even though they probably won't fire James Jones or Josh Bartelstein, but overall, this Suns team has really hit rock bottom. They can't get any worse than this. This was just a season where they were predicted to go to the playoffs, do this and that. While I didn't think they were going to win the championship, some people thought they were, which is like, come on now. And that's how it ended. Complete disgrace. So we'll see who the Suns will hire as head coach. A lot of people were saying if Chris Paul, like, I don't know if this was like a meme or whatever, but a lot of people were saying if Chris Paul were to retire, he would become the Suns' next head coach, which I don't see that happening. But honestly, that would be pretty cool. I mean, I feel like Chris Paul he is a leader. He's a guy who can be a head coach. So, yeah, we'll see how that ends, I guess. But some drama. I feel like with the Suns, there's nothing but drama. Nothing but drama, 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 drama. And this is how it is. So Matt Ishbia had a press conference before the season ended, or after the season ended for the Suns, and uh, he had some comments about his role with the Suns, and uh, Stephen A, I guess, responded to it, and he literally went all in on uh, Matt Ishbia. And it was so bad that he literally compared Matt Ishbia to Donald Sterling. If anybody remembers Donald Sterling, it was terrible for the Clippers, I believe. And he compared him to Donald Sterling. He literally said he was one of the worst owners in not just NBA history, but sports history. And there was a tweet by Dwayne Rankin. He said that or Matt Ishbia came out and said that he doesn't take Stephen A. Smith seriously when he was asked about him, and Matt Ishbia said, "I don't think many people do, to be honest with you." Which, quite frankly, that is true. Every time I see Stephen A. Smith on TV, I'm like, "Why is this man on my screen right now? And why is he talking about anything?" Pretty much. But Stephen A. Smith is just, he's a thought leader, an opinion-based leader, and not just basketball, but pretty much on anything in America, I guess. I mean, I'm not going to go completely into detail, but he pretty much is. And I don't get why Stephen A. Smith had called the worst owner in sports history just because the super team didn't work out. I mean, I could think of, like, in sports history, I'm not just talking basketball. I could think of so many times, like, uh, Dan Snyder in Washington. I could think of the Cardinals currently with Michael Bidwill. I could think of just a bunch of complaints from several owners, like the McCaskey family in Chicago, like John Fisher with the Athletics. I mean, that's probably the worst in sports history, if anything. I could think of so many owners in sports history that are cheapskates, don't even try, and they literally make fans want to not watch the team anymore. Matt Ishbia has at least quadrupled the Phoenix Suns' value. They're one of the highest grossing teams in basketball now. He has renovated the stadium quite a bit. He's made prices affordable for Phoenix Suns games. And he's made games free for the Phoenix Suns fans to watch at home. So I don't understand in what world Matt Ishbia is the worst owner in sports history. Now, if you want to criticize Matt Ishbia for completely demolishing this Phoenix Suns team in any hopes that they had at a championship, I'm fine with that because that is exactly what he did. He traded away all of the young talent that the Suns had. He traded all of the players that the Suns were winning with. And he only got Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal back for it, which both of them are not going to be on the team by next season. So if you want to criticize Matt Ishbia for that, completely fine. He deserves it. But the worst owner in sports history, this is why I can't take A. Smith seriously. I know that may sound ironic because I'm talking about him on the show right now, but it's just dumb. And I think even other fans from other teams would agree with me on that. Matt Ishbia at least spent money to try to improve the team. You can't blame him for trying to win by spending money. You can't blame an owner for that. Heck, there are so many owners that I believe fan bases would hope they would at least spend $100 million or $200 million. But worst owner in sports history. Last I checked, Matt Ishbia doesn't have any lawsuits against him like Robert Sarver did. He doesn't have any. He's not recognized as a complete moron when it comes to the business world and when it comes to running a team. So I just thought Stephen A was kind of stupid when it came to that. Then again, like Matt Ishbia said, no one pays attention to him. So we'll see if anything else comes out about this. But yeah, overall, Stephen A is just a complete moron for saying that. While I do criticize Ishbia a little bit for the way he kind of dismantled this team this season, you can't blame him for trying, at least, because that's what he's doing. Anyway, that might be the last time you guys hear me talk about the Phoenix Suns until we get to free agency. Yeah, that might be the last time. So no more Suns rants for now. The season's officially over. One of the worst, if not the worst, Suns season you can ever watch as a Suns fan. And let's hope for a better 2025, 2026 season. We can't get any worse than this. So let's close it out with ASU and U of A baseball. So ASU baseball, they're currently 24-14, so they're 10 games above 500. They keep doing their thing. They recently won the other day against Texas Tech. They won 10-4. They have, and they're currently playing Texas Tech right now in the second game. I don't have the score on me right now, but the 3-game series, they took the first game. Let's hope that they can finish off the season strong. They got GCU right after that on Tuesday. And then they take on BYU, Long Beach, Baylor, Houston, GCU again, and then they end their season in a Big 12 3-game series against Oklahoma State. So, losing that series to U of A for ASU really sucked. And yeah, they were ranked until they lost to that team. So, yeah, a bit of a rough ending for ASU regarding that, but it is what it is. Hopefully they'll finish off the season strong, 24-14. So we'll see how they end it. But U of A, on the other hand, has, continued to look pretty good. While we talk about U of A, they are doing better than ASU by 3 wins right now. They're 27-11 in baseball this season. They won their recent game today. Today they played BYU in the second game of the 3-game series. They lost the first game 12-5. They beat GCU before that on Tuesday, 14-4. So completely showed up in that game. And then they take on UT Arlington, and then they have a lot of Big 12 matchups against Texas Tech, TCU. They play GCU again after that, and then they got Utah, and then they end their season against Houston. So 27-11 at this point for U of A, and remain ranked. So let's see if both ASU and U of A can really keep it up here. We'll see how they finish off their season. We're not that far away from the tournaments, and we're not that far away from the end of college baseball. So not that much longer until we have nothing college-wise to talk about regarding baseball. So that does it for today's episode, everybody. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to episode 40 of the AZ Sports Zone. Man, like I said, 40 episodes in already is crazy. It's feels like yesterday I just joined IE Sports Radio, so I appreciate everybody who has supported my show for these 40 episodes and 40 more, and so more than that to be continued in the future. Once again, if you guys want to follow me on X at AZ Sports Zone IE and at the AZTRL, where I will update you guys on Arizona sports, feel free to have at it. And if you guys like the AZ Sports Zone, become a supporter. It's on Spreaker, $5 a month. This is a great way of supporting the shows here on IE Sports Radio, and I would greatly appreciate it. But I love your guys' support just by showing up every single Friday and listening to me talk and rant about Arizona sports. But next week, guys, we will definitely talk about the Diamondbacks. Hopefully they win the series against the Cubs and the Rays. I believe next time I go live, they will be playing a series against the Rays. I believe next time I go live, that series will be just now wrapped up. We'll talk about the Cubs and Rays series next week. And then, of course, we'll continue with the Cardinals after the NFL draft next week. And then, of course, we'll continue with if any Suns news comes out, and then we'll continue with college baseball as well. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been episode 40 of the AC Sports Zone. here on IA Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Once again, I'm your host, Alden K. See you guys next Friday at 7 o'clock p.m. Western time. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. See you guys next Friday. And I'm gone.